We finally get to do one with Levy back on the couch with us.
I know.
Yay!
Cubs has gotten the boot for the last couple months.
We missed you.
While we've had guests.
We missed you. Okay, yay! How cozy.
I know, we're taking it back to our roots this week.
I missed this.
Me too. I actually really did. It's nice I feel like it'll be nice to switch back to this whenever we feel called to. And that was kind of part of the whole plan, was to bring people in that we felt inspired by, but also continue to have our little couch chats.
Yeah, it feels good to just have it be just us sometimes and keep it simple.
All right. So Carly had this really cute idea, and she was like, why don't we interview each other as just a way to connect with everybody and for people to be able to get to know us better? And
yeah, I know. I think we've mentioned this before, but I love to play what I call the questions game. And now there's like 100,000 iterations of it with card decks asking deep questions and stuff, which I love. But I always like to take the time and just sit down and get to know my people, even or especially the people that I know the best, because you can always be surprised by people.
Word. Do you want to start or should I start? I'm kind of nervous. I don't know why. Well, first of all, how are you?
I feel good. I honestly feel cozy, relaxed. Sometimes I feel a little bit nervous before interviews. I'm shockingly comfortable with them, but just getting to chill with you definitely has me a lot more relaxed.
Same.
Which I love.
Same.
It's a nice break.
It is. But I do love having people on.
Me too. The perfect balance. Every once in a while, just coming back to the roots.
Word.
Okay. Very simple. If someone you don't know asked you just to describe who you are, how would you describe yourself?
I would say I am a 27-year-old girl. I am the youngest of 5. I am a very family-oriented person. I love my family so much. I love my bonus family so much. I feel very deeply. I'm honestly exploring right now in this phase of my life how deep my feelings are.
I love it.
Not even just towards my family, but in life. I didn't even know I was this emotional, honestly, in the best possible way. And I'm really learning that kind of in a lot of different aspects of my life right now. I would say I'm a highly driven person. I'm a hard worker, but I do think I'm able to balance it with an understanding that life isn't all about just tasks and work. I love traveling, but something interesting about me is I'm kind of scared of the unknown. So Carly knows best because she's my travel buddy. I'm always fearful and hesitant, but I always have the best time. And traveling for me is like, I'm craving it so much right now.
Yeah.
I would say I'm a pretty laid back person. I have spice in me for sure. Mm-hmm. And if someone provokes me in a certain way with certain, honestly, especially if I'm protecting someone that I care about, that comes out.
Me too.
But for the most part, I don't like confrontation. I don't look for a fight. I think I'm a good daughter. I think I'm a good sister. I think I'm a good auntie.
You are.
And more than anything, I have so many faults and so many shortcomings like we all do, but I really care and I care to be better. And I think I'm a highly intuitive person. Sometimes my self-exploration is backed with a lot bit of judgment, honestly. So I'm really working on that. But I'm really proud of myself. Every day I feel like I'm trying to find my way, especially in this phase of my life right now. And I think for the most part, I'm an easy person to have around.
Oh,
I think
you are an easy person to have around. That was so cute.
I think
you don't have to sell it. Oh,
yeah. And I'm a very loving person. And yeah,
that was beautiful. You are.
To be continued. I'm trying to figure out more of who I am. Okay, so we have long watched our older sisters, well, not long, but for the last 7.5 years, be moms.
Mm-hmm.
And we have had so many discussions about motherhood and what that looks like for us, if that exists in our lives, in our futures. And I'm curious at this point what your thoughts are on motherhood and being a mom. Is that something you see for yourself?
Oh my God, that's... I'm such a waffler with this. I think I have hesitations that I think a lot of women have There are a lot of things that scare me about being a parent. The responsibility of playing such a huge role in molding another human being's life and the pain that I imagine you experience, knowing that you have such little control over what happens to your kid. I, like you, feel things so deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm scared at how I will handle the pain of parenthood.
That's so real.
And the fear and the anxiety. I'm also, as a woman, very driven. I have a lot of things that I want to accomplish. And I want to make sure that if and when I were to make the decision to be a mom, I would feel ready to sacrifice a lot of my time and energy.
Yeah.
Because I would never want to be a parent and not be completely present with my kid. I just know how damaging that is. And it would just be damaging to me too, though. Like, I can't even barely leave my dog to go to the grocery store because I have so much guilt. So I can't even imagine how I'm going to feel leaving a whole child to go to work. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of fear around motherhood. But with that said, I have so much love in my body that I kind of can't imagine not offering that to a little baby turning into a little kid, turning into a, young adult. And further, I think it's so necessary for people who have a lot of love to give, who are very nurturing, and people who are willing to walk the hard walk. For as many of those people as possible to be parents, I think is great for the world, That's a hard question, though. I mean, I do think the older I get, the more I'm like, if I lived a full life and didn't have kids, I believe I would be regretful.
Yeah.
And that I would have wished that I had that experience and had that bond and that shared love and, the passing on of legacy and memories. And I just care so much about my loved ones that I can't imagine not having more loved ones, building a family and that. So
yeah,
I think I will want to if and when I'm with the right person who I know would be an incredible parent alongside me, because I think that partnership is also so important to me.
For sure.
In knowing that my kids will have two parents that are equally committed.
Agreed.
Okay. What is an experience or a couple experiences that have had the biggest influence on the way that you live life and on the person that you are?
That's an easy question, actually, for me. I would say the first integral experience that I had that showed me some real glimpses of my true self through a lot of self-doubt was running a marathon when I was in high school. That's the first thing that comes to mind. That was something I had the wisdom at that age at 17, which I'm so grateful for, to really be able to draw a lot of parallels from that very singular experience to apply to greater life and understand that if I kept putting one foot in front of the other, I would get to the finish line and I could do anything that I put my mind to, kind of. And I feel that my soul has been riddled with a bit of self-doubt that I actively confront and work on. But I think having that experience at a really integral age for me was important to set the foundation through all of the noise in my mind of I was very capable. And like on the other side of a hard day's work was anything that I wanted, and I still pull from that experience. And then that led me into moving myself to New York when I was 18 and putting myself through college. And that was a profound explosion of my marathon experience that I genuinely think about my experience in New York and my time in college to this day, every day. I do things that I don't want to do every day, as we all do as adults. And I pull from the strength of understanding that you just have to build day upon day and know that if you're putting good intention into what you're doing, or at least asking for guidance, you will get to where you need to get to, and you can survive a lot of discomfort. And I pull from that every single fucking day, truly. So I would say finishing that experience, especially with Ryan passing at the end, was very much so a pinnacle in my life of like, if you want it, you can do it,
I wasn't expecting that.
What
I
were you
like it.
expecting?
I was expecting you to say your eating disorder and
Oh,
Ryan passing.
Wait, sorry.
It's
totally.
okay. I thought you were going to say that made like the biggest, because I saw the biggest change in you that I've ever seen, you coming out of that, like bigger than your grief even. Just because
bigger
of
than my grief for sure.
Just because of the personal like self-reflection that you were having to do at that time. Like you really truly became you.
Yeah. No, you're so right. You know, I think I was just thinking about my college experience as a whole. Like I survived my eating disorder in that experience. And so I think you're so right though. Like, I don't know why I didn't just say that, because that was the single thing in my life that changed everything. It changed to fundamentally who I was as a person, who I am as a person.
I think it just allowed you to be fundamentally who you are.
Exactly. That's exactly who it is, or what it is. It didn't change anything about me. It actually just completely stripped me down to myself. And it changed everything about my life. Everything about my spirit, everything about who I thought I wanted to be, who I thought I was, everything. So yeah, it's really weird that I didn't just say that, because I think just with the phase of life that I'm in right now, I'm very much so pulling from my time in New York, honestly. And so I think that's why it came to mind. My eating disorder recovery is like, it's the proudest thing I've ever done and ever will do. Even like, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to love my husband and I'm going to love my babies and stuff like that. But I don't think anything will ever top it. It was like I
think motherhood could rival it whenever that time comes.
It just like, it stripped me down. It changed like my soul.
Yeah, it did.
It changed my soul trajectory. And that's something that for me, there will be a million things that are better than me getting over my eating disorder. But the only way that I could ever experience life the way that I'm experiencing it is by healing my eating disorder.
Yeah.
And so I think I just think of that as like, it gave me life. It literally was the ticket to the life that I have today and the life that I'm trying to build. So.
Yeah. It's like an addict speaking about recovery or, you know, healing from any like various sorts of addictions. It's like being free of that straitjacket in your mind that ties you to a substance or a behavior or whatever, no longer having to be trapped in that box. And now all of a sudden you can move forward.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I could talk about what Ryan dying did to me. I feel like I almost didn't say that one because it was like everyone knows that that's the one kind of, you know, but I'm very much so. I think with what I'm going through personally right now, I'm strongly pulling from my life experience that shows me that I can get through difficult things.
Yeah.
And I think that like the two things that I said at the beginning very much so are my data to pull from of like, you can do anything. You just have to keep going, you know? So.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, so I have one more kind of girly question before I get into like the really deep human stuff.
Yeah.
I think as young women, there's so much funny but very real discourse about dating and people's experiences dating. And as a young woman, what it all looks like and the fails and the fucked up situations and just like the messes of it all, you know? And it's such funny conversation, but it's also sad.
Tragic.
It's tragic conversation.
Yeah.
And you know, from my vantage point, you have fundamentally changed in the last 2 years in terms of just what you're willing to accept, your standard for yourself, your standard for the energy in your life, all those things, you know. But just for the audience's sake, what is your biggest dating fail?
How could I ever choose one? Yeah, I could go a couple different ways with this, and maybe I will. Okay. I went on a first date once and I ended up at a bar after dinner with this man. He was a very kind man and the music was so good. It was so fun. And I was just drinking them drinks like it was water. Like I was really just slurping them down. And I got to a point where I knew it's too much and there's no coming back. Like we've crossed the line. We're not in the middle of the line. We're far over the line. And girls don't do this, but I went back to his apartment, not with the intention of, it was out of desperation because I really had nowhere else to go. I was really young and I had no money. Like I couldn't really Uber at this time. This was while I was still in college. So I went back to his apartment. He was very nice. Thank God everything was safe. But it was very funny. So I was very sick. This is so gross. I feel bad for anyone listening. Okay, I was very sick and I was also very sassy.
I love this story.
This poor guy is coming up to me and he had this anti-nausea pill and he really wanted me to take it because I was puking my brains out. And this guy definitely wanted me to stop puking my brains out. So he was like, take this anti-nausea pill. And I was like, no. And he was like, just take the pill. It's okay. It's not a drug. Like, I'll show you the box. He like shows me like anti-nausea pill. And it's like all the pills that are wrapped up. He was like, you can take a new one. Just take the pill. And I was like, no. And he gave me the pill and I threw it in the trash can. And then I puked on top of it. It's so embarrassing. And then I fell asleep, I think even on the floor or something. I have no clue. And then I woke up the next morning and even worse, I like didn't even feel bad about it. I was like, see ya.
Carly is such a G with this stuff. She has no hangover shame.
I wouldn't say no, but
Dude,
it takes a lot.
I respect it so much. I get hangover shame from doing nothing. Literally, I was just drunk and existing, and I'm like, I must have done something terrible, and I can never forgive myself.
I think if I were to be doing stupid shit like that at this age, like as a 30-year-old, if I were doing something like that regularly, I would hope that I would feel a little bit embarrassed for sure. Because it's like at a certain point, you got to learn the lesson. I was like 21 at the time. So I'm not really embarrassed about it because I'm like, you just do stupid shit when you're 21. That's just what it is. And even now, like if I just like had a one-off where I did some really stupid shit because I was drunk, I wouldn't feel embarrassed about it. But if it was like patterned stupid behavior, I would start to feel embarrassed.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I was drunk. Like we all do stupid shit when we're drunk. I don't know.
No, this is why we're the perfect match. Because you always, you're like, it doesn't matter. You were drunk. Who cares? And I'm like, it does matter. I embarrassed myself.
When we fell over at the bar one time.
In front of this guy. Of me. I fell over in front of a guy that I wasn't dating, but like I secretly wanted to. I really liked him. We were like hooking up for a second and then we were, anyways, it's too long of a story, but we fell over. Like big tree fall hard, apparently, but we both don't remember it. So.
I remember it very clearly. Oh, it was really embarrassing.
Oh,
but you were spiraling way too much that I had to tell you it wasn't that bad. It was bad. We really hit the floor hard.
Oh, I was spiraling like you cannot understand. I'm just glad that's behind us.
We did it.
Now I don't give a fuck. Now I think about it, I'm like, that's funny, especially in front of that guy. But like, whatever.
I would say the biggest dating fails, though, before I had to learn my lesson, are really just not believing people's behavior and believing their words, or even worse, believing who I thought they were going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's like sometimes it's not even like people are really, really saying one thing and they're really trying to convince you of something and then they're acting totally different. That's real and that happens, and that's happened to me many times. But also sometimes people aren't even really promising you something, but you just want something so bad from them that you're like really convincing yourself that this person has the potential to be this person that you're imagining in your head. And it's just not happening and they're not showing it to you and you're just completely ignoring it. And I think that every time I've behaved like that, that has been my biggest dating fail, because it just leaves you feeling like you completely betrayed yourself and have become someone that you don't even recognize just for the attention or validation of some random man, which is like, why did I ever think I needed that dude to validate me? I think the ladies out there understand what I'm talking about. It's like we're just trying way too hard, clawing and fighting for that acceptance. And
absolutely.
For what? It's this crazy hamster wheel that it's so hard to get perspective on yourself when you're in the middle of that, because you just think you want something so bad and that desire inside of you is like all consuming and it's all you can think about. And you're like, but, and it's like, no, just delete all the buts. Look at what it is. Look at how you are in fucking shambles with your nervous system and decide, do I want to feel this way?
Yeah.
And then go from there.
It's very good advice.
Okay. In my opinion, you are like the most beautiful, funniest, most capable person.
Thank you.
You're welcome, you little cutie.
Thanks. That's really nice. Thank you.
And with that said, everyone has insecurities. And I was wondering if there's an insecurity that you're willing to share.
Yeah, absolutely. This is really me being very vulnerable right now. But I think I have never been boy crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually always been very reserved
Mm-hmm.
in my dating life. But I have insecurities that I don't have a ton of dating experience.
Mm.
I am not someone that looks forward to going on dates. I'm not somebody that's ever put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah.
And I think I also want to say there's a part of it that's like, I think I've been emotionally unavailable to people's advances on me and things like that. And I could have had a lot more experiences, and I've really shut myself out from a lot. So I don't know that it's necessarily like I haven't had the opportunity to. I haven't really created the opportunity for myself and open. I think my heart's been kind of closed for a really long time.
Yeah.
But I think just being a young woman, it's interesting not having like I've never been in a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
And that's weird. It's not weird because I have conversations with women where they're like, live your fucking life, do your thing. Like it's always, the grass is always greener on the other side.
Totally.
And I know that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's weird not being able to like share in certain experiences with people that have had so much dating experience. And for me,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I can't really relate to that. You know, I've been like on a different journey in my 20s than dating. So I would say that's an interesting one.
I will say, for all of my situationships and short 1, 2, 3 dates situations I've had, I haven't had a lot of long-term relationship experience at all either.
Yeah.
So I'm really with you.
Yeah.
The vast majority of my 20s were very single, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So in Shay's episode, we talked about learning lessons and having to face certain things multiple times before we learn them.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is consistently the hardest lesson you've had to face? Like the one that just keeps smacking you in the face and you've had a hard time getting up and doing things different?
Yeah, I have a couple for sure. I'm not going to frame it in the context of dating, even though this has happened a lot in my dating life. And I've had to be able to learn this lesson in order to get to where I am, like standing confidently in what I'm willing to engage in with people, specifically in romantic relationships. But the lesson continues to smack me in the face, but it just hits me in different scenarios. I think the biggest one for me is learning how to draw boundaries with people. Like, I want to give everything I have to everyone. Anyone who needs anything,
Mm-hmm.
I will strip myself bare and give them everything that I have. Because I cannot, it really hurts me to see people suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And I will get myself in really tough situations with people because I will have overextended myself so many times that becomes an expectation, and it's just completely unsustainable.
Mm-hmm.
And it just depletes me to such an extreme, and it's really hard for me to say no, especially when I know someone is suffering.
Yeah.
That can lead to enabling people in certain behaviors. It just leads to such an imbalance in dynamics and relationships and stuff. And so learning how to take care of myself first is, God, I sound so annoying. I feel like I sound so annoying being like, it's hard for me to take care of myself.
No, I think
I do think a lot of people can probably relate to it, that, I've had to go through getting taken advantage of and walked all over and disrespected or dismissed by enough people that I was wanting to put myself out there for,
Mm-hmm.
in order for me to understand, okay, it's not anybody else's job to take care of me. It's my job. And it's amazing to have community and support and all of that. And it's completely necessary. It's not that no one will ever support me or be there for me. But if I'm not supporting myself and taking care of myself, that has to be step one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm putting way too much of the power of my energy and stuff into other people's hands. And I have to take that back and tend to, the vessel that I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I had to go through the cycles of being hurt a lot of times to get to a point where I was ready to stop being self-sacrificial and stop, honestly, self-sabotaging my own well-being.
Yeah.
And then once I've invested into myself, I've realized I actually love that part about myself, that I want to care and that I want to give. And I will still overextend myself over and over for people because, again, I still can't watch people suffer. But at the same time, I will draw a boundary for myself. It's like I'm so much more aware of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it at this point.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like I have to do anything. It feels like there's an awareness and a choice there. And I'm choosing, this is the person that I want to be. I do want to invest in people. I do want to show up for people. I do want to support people through really hard shit and give what I have. And at the same time, like if I know that there's something inside of me telling me like, I can't do this, it's too detrimental to myself, I will listen to that voice and I won't do it.
Yeah.
So I think learning the boundaries is really big for me.
Yeah.
Just for my mental health and my physical well-being, my energy, my spirit, everything.
Yeah.
And then another I would say is holding myself back because of shame and perfectionism. I think I'm still in that. Like I'm come a long way, but I still have a lot of self-doubt when it comes to who I am, how I show up, what I have to offer, and whether or not that's good enough. And so it's really a constant kind of dialogue in my head of just quieting those thoughts and showing up even when I'm afraid to, even when the past versions of myself would have hidden.
This project has definitely pulled that out of both of us.
Yeah. Speaking of holding yourself back,
Hey.
what are some ways that you think you hold yourself back?
Oh my God. I think I get very caught up in what other people are going to be thinking about something. And I hate to admit that, honestly. I hate to admit that. I hate to give power to that. And I hate to admit that I give power to that. I have a fear of being cringe that keeps me back from being...
You have a fear of being cringe?
I have a fear. I was just reading in my Brene book last night in Atlas of the Heart that perfectionism is the enemy of mastery. And
I love that part.
I think that I get so caught up in the right way to do things that I enter into the paralysis of analysis of just doing them.
Yeah.
And I think that that is such a fundamental thing that I'm facing right now, is asking myself honestly what I want. And again, like you said, quieting the noise and just deciding that that's what I want and that's what I'm going for. You know what I mean? Or that's what I want to brick by brick start building for myself. And so 100% I get caught up in other people's projected perceptions of me. But those, I feel like, as we all understand them to be, are our own judgments of ourselves and our own projections onto other people. And those can really be a great area to assess the ways that you're projecting onto other people and the ways that you're judging yourself first and foremost. So I would say the judgment piece that I've talked about on this pod for sure is a huge one for me, of just letting myself be a human, be a fumbling, bumbling human, trying new things, not being good at them, being kind with myself through that experience, looking stupid, being kind with myself through that experience. I'm so understanding for the most part. So sometimes I can be kind of silly and goofy with people about like them being cringe, but I love watching people try new things.
Me too.
And I think it's such a beautiful experience to witness. So I'm working on letting myself do the same thing and letting it be a beautiful experience to witness myself trying something new, enjoying something, but not being great at it.
Be a baby deer.
Be a baby deer.
Legs.
Be a little baby deer with wobbly legs. So I would say in that way. And then to be honest, I think I have a lot of limiting beliefs about what's possible and what's out there for me. And I have a lot of fear of greatness, kind of, I think, almost. I have a real fear of being as big as I can be. And I know that about myself. And that's why I know that I'll be able to get through it and work through it. And yeah, I think that there's a lot of limiting beliefs that I'm constantly working with of what's possible and how big I could possibly be, how big life could possibly be, how beautiful life could possibly be. I feel like I very much so just work with what I have and make do with what I have. And there's so much more than that. So that's something that I think if I were to let persist would very much so hold me back. So a couple of weeks ago, I sent you, Mom had family videos going. And Carly wasn't at my parents' house. And so I sent her a couple videos of the videos just showing how cute Ryan was and that this, that, or the other. And I sent her a video of herself.
No.
Just like a 10-second clip of herself as a 3.5-year-old, 4-year-old.
It's already going to make me cry.
And so I want to know, what is your relationship with your inner child? And if you could tell the child inside of you something right now and send her some love, what would you say to her?
Oh, that's so sad. I think I'm really sad for her. I think whether it was necessary or not, I carried a lot of weight and responsibility on my shoulders from a very young age for people's well-being. That was my perception of my experience, at least. And I think that that really developed within me the habit of wanting to help people, wanting to heal people, wanting to force something into someone that would make a sick person better. And like to fail at it. Sometimes sick people don't get better. Sometimes situations are out of your control, you know, and
as a child, most situations are out of your control.
Absolutely. And I think it's again that spiral of perfectionism where perfectionism is like a negative feedback loop. Every time you fail at something, you don't say to yourself, oh, well, I'm never going to meet that perfectionism, so I need to change my goal or my expectation. It's like, oh, well, I just wasn't perfect enough. And now I'm going to put myself in a tighter stranglehold to try to be more perfect next time so that the outcome. And it's like you can apply that to your own performance, but you can also apply that to how your input into other people's lives isn't helping them. Like it's like it is like love is always going to help, but other people aren't going to be like completely healed just because you are desperate for them to be and trying everything you can, you know? It's also really lonely to want to like be that thing for everyone all the time. And it's like, well, who's that for me? I think I felt that loneliness really big as a kid. So I think I'd honestly just give her a hug.
Oh, that's going to make me cry. Same. I definitely didn't have that same experience, but I would definitely give my baby inside of me a hug. I am trying to give her hugs actually every day.
Just tell her she's doing a really good job. She's strong. She doesn't have to be anything more than she is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Let's flip the vibe really quick.
Okay.
So when it comes to self-love and self-confidence, which I know you've worked really hard for, what are some important aspects of self-love and self-confidence that you've learned that help you be at peace within yourself?
I think a fundamental piece of my journey with self-confidence and self-love has been getting out of myself and getting into the world. And I fundamentally gravitate towards healing myself to then heal the world. And that's how we are very fundamentally different in that way. You're an outward facing healer.
Yeah.
I'm very much so like, if I can heal thyself, I am a cell of the world that can then go and bring people with me.
Which is very true though. And that's something that I need, that I want to be more like.
And I want to be more like you. You've really inspired me to be. I think my experience coming out of my eating disorder was one of, I no longer, and I'm so grateful, I was given so much that I didn't ask for and that still was with me, you know, but I gained a lot of weight really quick. And, you know, I said on the body image episode, it was a very, very profound experience of me having to take all of my eggs of worth out of the basket that was my looks and start to explore where else I could disperse them in my life, what else existed inside of me, and what I wanted to nurture and foster inside of me. What I loved, I didn't know what else I loved about myself. All I knew is that I wanted skinny legs and I wanted my face to look snatched or whatever the bullshit that I wanted. You know what I mean? And once that was kind of taken from me for a little bit, which was the best experience of my life, I was forced to be like, well, there must be more inside of me. You know what I mean? I know that there is. I've seen glimpses of it. I can feel it, you know? And that was when I found out that I'm a deeply loving person. I always thought of myself as kind of a mean person, a fundamentally mean person, because I was so fundamentally mean to myself. I didn't know how much kindness was inside of me because I never gave it to myself. I gave it to other people, but it's like you can kind of only meet people where you meet yourself, especially just my perception of myself and of the world was so skewed based off of the harm that I inflicted on myself. And I think that getting out of my own little world and getting into all the nuances of what lived inside of me and what other people that I loved and respected loved about me. Nobody that I loved and respected was like, I mean, yeah, I guess people would be like, your body looks nice or something. But it was like, it was so fundamentally deeper than that. The people that cared about me, they really saw so much inside of me that I didn't know existed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that the experience of like, get your fucking head out of your phone camera. I had like a no front phone camera policy for a while. Like I wouldn't, for a long time, I would just pull up my front phone camera and look at myself and like see like, okay, do I still look the same? Do I look? And then for years, it was like, I didn't really care what I looked like. I wasn't looking too amazing, but I also was like,
beautiful.
Yeah, you're right. I did look beautiful. I look back, I was actually just having a conversation with Mom last week. I have the most deep love and respect for that person, and that I could talk about for days. But I just had to fundamentally figure out what more was inside of me. And I did. And I took it as it mattered so deeply to me to explore everything else that I had never known. And so I would just encourage anybody who feels wrapped up in yourself. We talk on this podcast a lot about community and a lot about service. And I promise there's so much happiness that extends way, way, way beyond you.
Yeah.
And like the saturation point of what you get from looking a certain way or even like achieving certain things,
Yeah.
it is so much lower than so many people
think.
could understand.
Yeah.
We talk about that with money, with joy of money. The saturation point of looking good and the joy that that brings you, very low.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very low when it's not accompanied by true peace and confidence and understanding of who you are and understanding of who you want to be and your fundamental flaws, but also approaching those fundamental flaws with kindness and with curiosity instead of with judgment, you know?
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I have a lot to say on that, but I would say get out of your own little self and look out into the world.
I agree.
Okay. So kind of on that same, on a positive note,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think is one or multiple of your best qualities? And then conversely, maybe you can throw in a couple of the qualities that you're working on that aren't your favorite. But let's focus on your favorites.
Okay.
It's very weird to talk about yourself in this way, so just lean in.
Yeah.
I know. It's okay. I'm asking you.
I guess I would say I love how happy I get when I see people do what they love, or when I see people try something that's really hard or just show up for themselves. Like if I see someone enter some sort of competition, like a singing competition or dance or something, I sob every time. I see somebody out there like just going for it. Or when I watch someone run a marathon, I sob the whole time. I sobbed through a whole marathon. I'm just so inspired by people, and I just love to see. Why am I so emotional today?
It's great. One of your superpowers is how emotional you are.
Yeah, I'm definitely emotional. I really love to see people win and succeed. It just makes me so happy for them. Like, I just love to see joy on people's faces, and I love to see people persevere, and I love to see their soul, really, I think is what I love on display. I think that's tied to empathy. You know, I do love how deeply I want to connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see people for who they are and for who they want to be. And I feel with people, and I feel their pain, and I also feel their joy. And that's really heavy at times, but I feel really grateful for that. I wouldn't rather it be the other way. I wouldn't rather feel less. Like I'd rather just stay deep and just be in that with people, with humans and even animals too. And I love when I'm in my zone of joy, I feel very radiant, like a sun. And I think everybody would feel that when they're in their zone of joy. So I don't know that that's like what is the quality of myself that I love, but there's this feeling that I get when I know I'm in my zone and when I know I'm just like really connected. And I love that version of me that can show up. I love how big she is and how vibrant she is and how fun she is and like silly and childlike. Like I really love that person. What are some of my qualities that are
Don't rush to the bad
challenging?
qualities. Keep going. I'm just
you
kidding.
want me to do more?
No. Whatever you want. I'm just messing with you. I'm just fascinated because you had to think about your favorite qualities, but then it's so easy.
I would be so. It's so easy for me to go to my negative
for
ones.
us to speak about our negative ones. No. It's so easy for all of us to. It's a human condition.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's partially like it's hard for me to think about the things I love about myself, but it's partially also just uncomfortable to say it.
Of course. I'm just messing with you. Go into whatever you want.
I also love how much I love to read and learn because it makes me feel like I'm always evolving and broadening my mindset, which makes me feel good. Like I hate to feel stagnant. I hate to feel like I'm not learning or I'm not uncomfortable. Like when I'm too comfortable, it's kind of depressing to me. So I like that about myself because I feel like there's constant desire for growth and evolution. And also I really do have a desire to grow more in empathy, grow more in understanding of humanity and of what it means to be alive. So I appreciate that about myself. I want to learn. I want to change my mind, you know? Yeah, the negative ones, I think that sometimes if things don't go the way that I envisioned it to go, it can really lock me up emotionally. And I hate that. And so I've put in a lot of effort to be much more go with the flow. And like, I cannot control life or else life will just be controlling the shit out of me.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to be able to roll with things. And like Lauren London said, flow with the river, don't fight with the rocks. And I really think about that on a daily basis when small things come up or big things come up that frustrate me, that don't go with my plan. And that's funny because I'm not really much of a planner necessarily. Like if I were to go travel, I'm not somebody who's going to make an itinerary. It's nothing like that. It's more so how I would have envisioned something playing out.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I were to say, oh, this is something that I want, and then I would imagine it being a certain way, and then it does not go that way. I have put a lot of effort into trying to course correct quickly because I think that my biggest pet peeve about myself is that for as loving as I am and as empathetic as I am and as much as I want to be there with people, I think my sour vibe is so sour. I hate how sour, like it's so palpable and I know it because I can see it on other people when they are feeling it from me and I can see myself reflected in their reaction to me.
Yeah.
And I think that is fundamentally my worst quality.
You do?
I think that's not to air anybody out, but I definitely think that's a learned behavior from my childhood that I've been able to recognize in adulthood and be like, it's not cute.
Yeah.
Let it go. I don't know. What would you say? What am I missing? Because I mean, there's one that I feel like I've overcome a lot. I definitely wouldn't say that entirely, but I definitely think that being a know-it-all was a huge thing in my youth. And I really feel like I've let go of that a lot.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there are still instances where I'm annoying and I think I know something and maybe I don't, for sure. I'm sure. But once I realized, like, if I ever want to actually help people or actually show up or actually be a support, I have to let go of all the things that I think I know about them, about this situation, about what I need to do or anything, you know, and I have to just listen and learn. So,
yeah, I think that's good. We don't need to roast you.
Okay.
That's enough. Okay. Negative qualities.
Okay.
This is not, we're not burning you at the stake here.
I mean, I'll do that to myself too, for real.
Same. Honestly, same.
Okay. What is something that you believe in that you think some people might think is far-fetched or like woo-woo or...
Well, I'm a big energy person.
Me too.
If you have a conversation with me, you're definitely going to hear some woo-woo shit come out of my mouth because I believe there are so many forces at play, so far beyond what my mind can comprehend.
Yeah.
I do abide by divine timing in my own life. I personally do believe we're all here on a blueprint type situation. We have control over our actions, we have control over our responses, and we have control over the energy that we put into our own soul development. But there are so many forces at play that we don't have control over. So I would say that's probably something that was going to bump for a lot of people. And I haven't even fully explored that for myself, but that does sit right with my spirit when I think about what this all is.
Did you think you knew what you were coming into when you came here? When you chose to be this person? Did you think you chose your body and your family and your everything?
That's a fantastic question. I've never wondered that. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. But just in general, I honestly believe in like synchronicity.
Yeah.
I believe that there's an energy exchange happening far beyond what any of us can understand.
Yeah.
That is connecting us. You could be across the world.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any mistake when that happens. It happens way too often.
Yeah, like when you're thinking about someone and then they text you. Or
you're talking about somebody and they all of a sudden come into your life that day. My boss and I have this funny joke about like, we'll be talking about someone and then they'll hit us up. So we're all of a sudden like, okay, we need to speak into the existence what we want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because clearly our words have so much power. But that's something that I deeply, deeply believe in. I don't think there's any mistake when that happens. I think we're all intrinsically very connected.
Yeah.
And then I also believe in afterlife. I deeply believe in Ryan's spirit being all around.
Me too.
I believe in being able to connect with him. I believe some human beings have the power to connect with the other side based off of experiences that I've had that I hold very close to my heart.
Yeah.
And I know that that doesn't resonate with everybody.
Yeah.
But I just in general think that there are energy fields and huge, huge, huge things at play that are far beyond any of our human minds and what we can comprehend. And I think that nothing really is some like weird coincidence.
Yeah.
When it comes to the powerful shit that happens as human beings.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
yeah. So this is a very busy time in your life, little miss. What do you think are some things that are working in your life right now? And what are things that you feel like maybe aren't working that need some tweaking?
Things that I think aren't working. I don't think that I'm taking enough time in like quiet. I am alone a lot, but I am not present in my solitude a lot. My brain is torn in so many different directions and it's too active. And then even when I don't have a task to do, I've started to notice myself distracting from that quiet time. I'm not exercising and I need to be. I'm not eating as healthy as I need to be. And this is not for vain reasons. It's really just, it catches up to you and you just feel like it's like you feel exhausted all day, but then wired at night. And I'm just not on the right rhythm with my health. I know it. I've been so in my mind that everything to do with like my body and my spirit, I think are just not getting tended to enough, not getting loved on enough.
Yeah.
I think things that are working.
I think despite everything, you're just very much so in alignment with.
Yeah.
Like it's weird because you're not taking the time to be, but like you're just very much so like naturally right now in alignment.
Yeah.
You don't get flustered that easily, which confuses me because I get flustered. You know?
I definitely feel, despite saying that I'm not investing what I think is enough time into like my health and my spiritual reflection. Actually, I can't even say that though, because I pray constantly. So I don't think it's that as much. I think a lot of it has to do with my routine. Like I think that my routine is the thing that's failing me the most right now.
Yeah.
Because when my sleep is off and my health is off, that will start to fuck with my mood. But I think that generally the steps that I'm taking in my life are in the direction that I feel is right for me. Like I feel like I know myself better than I ever have. And I feel like I listen to what I know about myself. I don't feel like I'm taking the easy way out on anything. I really feel like I'm walking my walk in honesty and truth right now. And even if that means that I have to have hard conversations with people or do things that are uncomfortable for me, I'm doing them for the sake of what I know is in my best interest.
Mm-hmm.
And that is very different than it's ever been in the past. And I definitely think that that creates like such a stability within me that I haven't experienced before, because I've invested so much into trying to find my worth and validation externally. And I definitely think that like over the past couple years, I've been able to find my center a lot more and
Mhm.
find and respect that and really listen to myself and not cross boundaries with myself and not betray myself. So that even if things are crazy externally, or I don't have a lot of time, or I'm stressed or overwhelmed with responsibilities in my life, I still don't feel out of alignment with my truth. I just feel
Yeah.
that soul feeling of like stress or exhaustion or whatever it is, but I'm not also feeling like, who the fuck am I
Yeah.
in the midst of all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you diving into some of your passions too in the last year plus
Yeah.
has led you, that feels like something that's been a real energy source for you, you know?
It's definitely been a confidence builder in that I have always wanted to put myself out there and build. And I've done a lot of building for other people, and which is so necessary, you know,
Mhm.
to learn. I've learned so much and I'm so grateful for everything I've done. I feel has truly been necessary for me to get to this point. So I'm not, there's no bitterness or regret or anything like that. But I definitely feel like it was time for me to get some skin in the game and like put myself out there and see how it feels. And I'm grateful to be walking that walk right now, even if it's really uncomfortable sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What is an important lesson that you've been learning this past year?
Ooh.
Not a lot of softballs in this game, babe. This is hardball.
This is baseball, baby. This is the big leagues. Boy, I have learned a lot in the last year. I have absolutely come to understand the importance, like the critical importance of talking about how you feel,
Mm-hmm.
expressing your feelings, validating your own feelings by expressing them, doing the work to find words around your emotions that I've long felt that I haven't found the words for and I haven't understood. I'm very fascinated by what we as humans, outward facing, can act like or look like can be so different from what we actually are yearning for inside.
Mm-hmm.
And the example of that, if that didn't make any sense for you, is I'm someone that has long desired to not need people. And I have come to understand the critical need for people for me. But sometimes when I'm in a mood where I really need people, I will push people away.
Mm-hmm.
And so for someone looking in, it looks like I'm pushing you away. But for me, there's so much like psychological shit that goes into it that I'm not going to bore you with right now. But I need you more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm too scared to extend my hand because I think I'm scared of the rejection of like not getting what I need in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because that's happened before. But I have definitely assigned a lot of meaning to that experience. And so I think one of the biggest things is expressing how I feel and talking about it. I think a second one has definitely been in exploring like my loving nature and my giving nature. It's definitely come to my attention that I pay myself on the back end of that. And I don't necessarily give myself that same love and care that I so enjoy extending to other people that feels so good. And it's definitely begged the question of what's keeping you from giving that all to yourself, you know? So that's been a very interesting exploration for me of why I'm withholding with myself and why I'm committed to certain levels of judgment with myself and certain levels of lack of care with my own experience and with my feelings and with my needs, you know? So I would say those two things have been really critical. But if you guys have like an hour and a half more,
Oh, yeah.
I have a lot. So those two are the ones that really come to mind.
I love those.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a big boy question too.
Okay.
What comes to your spirit when I ask you what's the most important or powerful lesson you've come to at this point in your life? 30 and a half years.
I think show up for people, show up for yourself, and be honest. Like walk in integrity. Like I've never regretted showing up for someone. Even if they did me wrong, I still don't regret it.
Mm-hmm.
I regret not showing up sometimes though, because I really just think that we need each other so bad.
Mhm.
And I have experienced losing someone and losing them, not expecting to in the slightest. And I look back on my experience with my brother and my relationship with him, and the only things that I regret are not showing up more.
Yeah.
And not being more present. And every single moment that I spent with him and every single time I showed up when it was hard, I have the most beautiful memories of connection and love
Mhm.
that truly carry me, through my
Mhm.
life. Show up for yourself is a hard lesson learned, but it has really brought me to so much more inner peace than I've ever experienced before, and so much more confidence in what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, because I am investing into me and it's paying off. Be honest. That's the only way you're ever going to feel really free, I think. And it's also, I think, the only way that you're ever going to get what you want out of life,
Mm-hmm.
and in a pure way, like in a wholesome way, where you are willing to declare your intentions and you get to see what comes to you as a result of that, who comes to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just love the alignment that brings.
Mhm.
I don't want to live in a lie ever. I don't want to have to pretend I don't want something that I want or sacrifice myself in any way.
Mm-hmm.
And then, live in integrity. I think that's though similar to be honest, but it gives me freedom to know that I'm showing up with the intention of doing good
Mm-hmm.
and offering generosity, love, and whatever I have available to me to offer that is goodness,
Mhm.
it just keeps me from carrying so much burden, and I don't ever want to feel like I was sleazy in a moment or like I
Yeah.
was shady, I
Yeah.
have such a guilty conscience and I don't want to live with that on my shoulders. And I think it's the same thing as be honest. I think if you're walking in integrity, in your truth, the life that you build by doing that just feels so good.
Mm-hmm.
It feels so aligned. Everyone around you feels like they're supposed to be there. Everyone who didn't stay around you, it's kind of like good riddance.
Yeah.
The things you find yourself doing feel so right. And that doesn't mean that it feels easy, but it does feel right.
Yeah.
And that's just what I'm on right now.
Those are really good.
Thank
That
you.
was a really good response.
Thank you.
Good bullet points.
Thank you. Okay, my last question for you. It's a dual prong question. It's very broad too.
Okay.
So, okay. What factors do you think would lead to a fulfilling life for you? Like, what do you envision as a fulfilling life? And then is there anything at the end of your life that you would regret not doing if you don't do it?
Lordy B.
I know.
That's a really fucking deep question.
I know.
I think the thing that comes to mind, honestly, first and foremost, to a fulfilling life is the path forward that I see from my vantage point to fulfillment is getting out of my way and stepping fully into like being in love with myself in the most healthy possible way.
Mhm.
The freedom that I found in my first iteration of that with my eating disorder recovery was something that I didn't even know existed. And I feel I've come to a point in life right now that I'm in kind of a second iteration, a second rebirth of that experience where I'm facing other parts of myself, other judgments, other shortcomings, other fears, and having to really like walk into them, in the most uncomfortable of ways. And so I think what looks like a fulfilling life to me is walking forward in alignment in my utmost desire. It's being with a partner and having a family one day. Like right now, I don't want a family, but just finding someone that makes me feel like the most me version of me.
Mhm.
People have very powerful effects on me and my
Mhm.
energy. and I can be really shut down with someone, or I can be the most me that's ever me. And I know that there is someone or someones, if it's going to take multiple iterations at this phase of my life, that will continue to pull the me out of me and help me pull that out of me. And that I'm really looking forward to. Honestly, I feel very ready for that at this point in my life.
Yeah.
I'm excited one day for sure to be a mom. I would love to be a mom. I'm terrified of it, just like you, but it would be a very fulfilling experience for me. And yeah, I think it really comes down to getting out of my own way and having the fears, but doing it anyway. There's just so much to see. And I don't actually want to be stuck. I just find real comfort in my comfort zone. But, I find synthetic comfort in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I just get really stuck there more often than I'd like to. And so I think kind of getting out of my own way and getting into the love with myself will have it be like, well, this isn't going to be easy all the time and it's going to be scary, but that's what we're doing, baby. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to fully step into my life and whatever is for me. And I feel like I'm still unraveling so much of it that I can't give you like an itemized list of everything. But just like you said earlier, I totally agree. I have so much brightness in me when I find that alignment piece, but I haven't really been there recently, honestly. So I'm trying to kind of find my way back to that.
Yeah.
So, and then if there's anything that I would regret, it would be living in fear and other people's perceptions of me and not doing things that I wanted to do because I thought other people cared. At the end of the day, like other people have opinions. They're going to say things, this, that, or the other. But everyone's really living in their own little simulation, and they're projecting onto you the things that they're scared about themselves, that they're insecure about themselves. And I would be really, really disappointed if I got to the end of my life. That's why I just pray that I have so many fucking years left. But at the same time, actually, I pray that I wake up and brush that shit off my shoulder and start living how I want to live.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what type of time I have. None of us do,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think at the end of my life, I would be very, very disappointed if I didn't take advantage of exploring all the things that I wanted to, putting myself in a box. I talk about me not wanting people to put me in a box, but I think I might be the first one to do that to myself,
Totally.
So just allowing myself to be all the things that I want to be and not worrying about other people's perceptions because they're limited in their own experiences and their perceptions of themselves and things. So
Totally.
yeah. 7 years. I didn't want to say 10 years. I wanted to say 7 years.
Okay.
What are some qualities of life in 7 years that you hope are available to you? Your dream life in 7 years.
I just think of a mixture of fast and slow. Like, I don't know how to describe that really, but I want to feel hooked into my purpose and driven by that and very involved in pursuing my purpose. And at the same time, in my dream world, I want to have the freedom to be slow whenever I possibly need it and whenever I want it. And that's a real luxury. Like so many people are stuck on the treadmill of just trying to survive, myself included. And it's a luxury to have an excess of time and resources available to you where you can disconnect. So I think that like my ideal life in 7 years will be the option to choose when to move fast in pursuit of my passions and purpose and when to disconnect and have presence, like full presence and real dedicated time and energy to the people, places, and things in my life that I love, that I want to be present with and available for. So that's kind of
I love
vision.
that. Yeah. That's very you.
Thanks.
She loves to be slow.
I will read an 800-page book in one day. I will not look up from it. Like,
true.
I will very much so not pick up a screen or I don't know. I when I want to disengage, I want to be gone. And it's really hard to ever have the time where you can really do that, So that's a luxury.
Definitely.
Okay. Well, I love you.
I love you too. This is fun.
So fun.
Hope people enjoy it.
Me too.
I enjoyed it.
Us being very present and very honest.
Definitely.
I loved it.
Me too.
I hope anybody else enjoyed themselves. If you're still here, love you. Love the shit out of you.
Hopefully some of these questions too are thought-provoking and you can ask yourself them,
Yeah.
kind of.
Not to give you homework, but like
No.
get out your journal and
No,
like
do whatever you
go
want.
think, y'all. Like,
Do whatever you want. No pressure at
I just
all.
assigned them homework.
All right. Love you guys.
If you have anything you guys want to know, hit us up. Ask us whatever you want.
Wait, also, we suck at this, but follow us on social media.
Oh yeah.
Follow us on social media. We're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram. All of those are at Safe Space Convos.
Yeah.
So come join us. Love y'all.
Love you.